What's up guys, welcome back for some more Glorious Smite. And before we get into today's video, I just quickly want to say there was gameplay footage to go with this, but my PC unfortunately is just getting a little bit too old, and re-encoding 1080p footage is getting a bit too difficult for it, so what can we do? So anyway, this is basically going to be a dumbed down version of why defense is good. Now I've already did a video and I'll put a link to it down below, talking about the maths and why defense is better than power and why it wins. And you know, I had the straight 1v1. There was even people in the comments that were surprised by it, disagreed, went and tested it themselves, came back and went, holy shit, you're right, and it was even easier than you said it would be in terms of defense winning. So if you want a more detailed explanation, it's a little bit out of date, but it's still good, it's still mostly accurate, the math is still the same, you can go check that out. This is going to be a dumbed down version, just trying to get the general message across to why defense is so much better than power. And there's one thing you need to know immediately to why defense is so good, and that's because in this game, power sucks, right? Even on a mage, outside of like 2 power items, arguably 3 or 4, but outside of Rod to Hoot in terms of raw power, and Toth in terms of raw power, they're the ones really worth it, and they only exist on mages, right? And even then you would need to scale above 80% to really get good value out of them. Anything less than that, it just doesn't feel worth it. The other types are of course Soul Reaver and Spear of Desolation, and even then, you get them mainly for the additional passives or stats, right? Spear's got 20 flat pen, and Soul Reaver's got the true damage. That's mainly why you're buying them. So you're really only left with Toth and Rod, and even then, Toth doesn't always get picked up, and Rod has the additional passive again, giving you a truly large amount of power, and the hidden bonus passive of 25% damage in your A's as well. So your only raw power item you pretty much always guarantee is Rod to Hootie. And even then, only in some mages is it truly absolutely necessary, but you always see it regardless, because people think it's good value. So just to quickly dumb it down, I'm just going to quickly explain what beats what in terms of stat-wise in Smite. Okay, so I'm just going to try and do this quickly. But generally speaking, penetration will give you more damage than power, because taking away defense is more important than adding to your power stats. Penetration is about equal to attack speed, maybe slightly more valuable, depending on itemization choices, because you can have attack speed with penetration at the same time. That's only available for some gods, like Executioner. Penetration is less than defense because the pen cap is lower than the defense cap, and there will always be more defense left over no matter how much pen you build, and at some point you'll have just pure pen and they'll have pure defense with a little bit of pen, therefore you will lose. So pen is pretty much always less than defense. Attack speed is usually greater than or equal to defense because there's more attack speed options, and you can get attack speed items that will just kind of counter defense, like Executioners, which comes with penetration and attack speed, but there is a few defense items that counter attack speed, like my Guardian Mill. Attack speed will pretty much always beat power, because just basically auto-one faster is more valuable than having your abilities hit faster. This is more true for physicals than for mages, but even for some mages this is true. And attack speed is usually about equal, if not greater than HP. That's because there's a lot of attack speed items that counter HP, such as kin size, and there's no HP items that counter attack speed. However, if they have no kin size, which will help you, but it's less valuable than defense against attack speed. HP is about equal or greater than power, because more HP means the more damage you can absorb, and power is only going to go so far because power is based on scaling, whereas HP, just more HP the better. There's a few items that, actually there's only one reel that deals with this, and that's Soul Reaver, so it's pretty much always beaten. And defense clearly beats power, because no matter how much more power you add, unless you've got a pen, that defense is going to go so much further than what your power is, because again, defense is just raw defense and power goes towards scaling, and even if you scale 100%, power is still not as valuable as defense. So that's the basics of it. That's the basics of it. And next we're going to look at 2 builds with the 2 gods. That's why the pictures are here. We've got the last Jonquil build I used in a video versus a generic soul build, and we'll look at why the defense is better just in a kind of dumbed down fashion. So the typical soul build, it looks something like this. Not exactly like this, not every game, I know, etc. But close enough. Rod to Hootie and Talk, your big power items. You've got your pen and obsidian. You've got pen boots, you've got Bancroft, and you've got Telegang's ring. So you look at that, what do you see, right? Try and think about it for yourself. Anything? Okay, so every item is just raw damage, raw power. You've essentially got 6 items and they all increase your DPS, right? Now look at the Jonquil build. He's got pen boots the same for pen, he's got obsidian shard for pen, He's got Voidstone for pen, protection, and magic power. He's got Breastplate for physical defense and CDR. He's got Discord for magic defense, physical defense, and CDR, plus a little bonus passive. And he's got Rod of Acephalus for HP pool, giving him increased sort of damage absorption, sort of like a defensive item. But it also comes with power and a bonus effect. So when you look at Zhong-Kui, what do you see? You could argue that Zhong-Kui's got 6 items that increases DPS, right? Because CDR will give you more rotations for your abilities, therefore increasing your DPS. But if you look at his build, you also go, he's also got 3 penetration items, 4 power items, and 4 defense items. Think about that. Essentially, Zhong-Kui has more items than Sol, despite both just having 6 slots. Because Zhong-Kui's do more things, right? He has defense with penetration on 1 item. He's got defense of both kinds with CDR. He has a health pool with power, with bonus effects, which go a lot further, right? So while he just have the same amount of items equipped, 6, which is the max we can have, it feels like he's got more, because these items do more. They're not just power items, they do other things. They're defensive based. He will get increased DPS while also being harder to kill, because that's what these items do. So let's break this down a little bit further. Okay, so we're broken it down. Zhong-Kui has 4 defense items, Voidstone with Magic D, Breastplate with Fizz D, Discord with Physical and Magic D, but that's still just 1 item, and Rod of Acephalus with HP. So these 4 items offer defense. But he also has 4 items that add damage, just in terms of like power. He's got Voidstone with power and pen boots, Obsidian Shard, and Rod with power. So that's 4 damage items and 4 defense items. That's 8 items total. And of course, all 6 of these items add DPS. So he's got 6 items that actually increase DPS while having 4 items that add to his defensive abilities. So in essence, he's got 10 items worth of stats. Now, they don't offer as much in terms of power or DPS as Sol's items, but even when you look at the most valuable power items, they still just offer power and nothing else. Telekines does give additional attack speed and a bonus effect. The bonus effect is affected by protections, however. So you could argue she's getting a little bit of something extra there, but at the end of the day, she's not getting as much value out of her items as Zhong-Kui's getting with his well-balanced build. And you could argue, oh, but surely the Soul deals so much more damage. Not quite. She will deal more damage overall, of course, but only to a certain extent, because Zhong-Kui has got more pen. Penetration is a very valuable, if not the most valuable stat in this game, and he's got more penetration than her. So he should be doing more damage against certain targets. Not against the mages, unless they've got Magic D or a Heart Ward nearby, because obviously pretty much most mages only come with 30 magic. There's a few that go against that, such as Zhong-Kui, but most of them are 30. So all you really need is Voidstone and Pen Boots to get true damage. You get Obsidian against the tanks though, and then you've got Voidstone, Obsidian, and Pen Boots. So you'll deal more damage. So yeah, even if we just kind of discredit these items because they do 2 things, it's not being necessarily the best at each thing, we could just say they're 75% in each stat, meaning they're still overall worth 1.5 items. So the Zhong-Kui has 2 items worth 1 point apiece, Boots and Obsidian, and he's got 4 items worth 1.5. That gives him a total of 6, which still adds up to 8. So he's actually get 8 items value out of 6. Whereas you could argue Soul maybe gets a tiny bit of value out of Telekine's attack speed, but it's still only offering DPS and a tiny bit of lifesteal. But Mage lifesteal, even though they said they would maybe look at it, it's still kind of underwhelming. So she gets like what, 6 and a bit for pure DPS. Zhong-Kui's get 8 with more pen, with health, and you generally want both. It's just a far superior build, just in terms of what the items do. His items are better, and that's why when you go back and watch that Zhong-Kui video, you'll see that the damage was so much higher, the tanking was so much higher, and I was quite comfortable running into 1, 3, 4 enemies. The build essentially has more value and more items there. There's 6 total item slot, but in reality I'm getting 8 worth of value, which makes me so much more stronger than everyone else. So I'm just going to do one more final dumbed down thing, and that's talk about the better and kind of lesser defense items that I value. Okay, we've got a simple system going here. The further to the right you are, the more value I have in it, and the further to the left you are, the less value I have in it. Essentially, I want defense items with either really just straight up really good raw base stats, or I want them to do something important on top of being defensive, right? And I have the absolute least valuable in no HP, no pen, no power, magic items, because they are the least valuable. Generally speaking, there's just usually one mage, one guardian, not always, but usually, and they just rely on the occasional ability burst. So generally speaking, a little bit of health and a little bit of magic D goes a lot further than just more magic D and no health. So avoid the trap of those two magic D items with no offensive capabilities and no health. They are a trap. Runic Shield's a little bit different because it has additional value with the attack speed slow order and the power reduction order, and it comes with some power, so it's a little bit better than them. But that's very matchup dependent. Midgardian is more valued over the main because the main is physical defense without any health, but physical defense without any health is still stronger. It doesn't really reduce incoming DPS, it just reflects. So if you're in a close kind of combat situation, it can sway the fight. But Midgardian is generally speaking better because it comes with a large chunk of health. You still get some Fizz D, and the passive heavily reduces DPS and makes it so you can potentially easier chase down and kill whoever's hitting you, because it also comes with movement speed slow sometimes. Spirit Rope has good value with the CCR, which can reduce CC, which is really valuable, and the true damage reduction, which means even true damage targets such as Serket and Bakasura will have their true damage reduced if you can prop the passive, which is quite valuable, right? So you kind of want these type of items. And of course, hybrid items with pen are always really good. So even though they nerfed Void Shield's still good. I know Voiceland's not here, but I've highly valued Voiceland. If you can use it as a mage, you should be getting it. There's really no reason not to. And then we've got, just the rest. Wingblade, just offering raw health, would normally be very good, but it comes with CCR, move speed, attack speed, and a decent passive, so it's quite valuable. Sov is okay. Just to put it into perspective, Sov versus Urchin. Urchin has, at max stacks, has more physical defense than Sov, even with the aura included, and it comes with more health. And then you also get all the magic D. It is a little bit more expensive, does require stacks, but it just kind of shows you how weak Sov is in comparison to something like Urchin. Heartwood's slightly more valuable because it's magic D with health, and usually if you're like, say, a warrior in solo, Uman is something that happens, you run out of mana, and the MP5 on Heartwood's quite nice. Right? Plus I find a lot of supports will pick up Sov, but less so Heartwood because they usually get Pestilence instead. So yeah, and Pestilence obviously very good as well because it comes with a lot of magic D and health, and anti-heal passives even effective against things like Hunters. And you guys know I'm not a fan of stopgap or bridge items, so Shield Regrowth naturally is more to the left. So there's a few more I didn't really cover. Shifter Shield, and I know there's a few more than that as well. Discord, but generally speaking, Discord gets picked up fairly often, so I like it. It was in the core build that we're talking about, so I did quite like it. So yeah, that's generally speaking how I would judge defense items. You want protections with health, or something that somehow reduces incoming DPS, and if you only get health, you want something that's valuable, right? Male Renewal comes with 400 health, which is really nice, and you get CDR, which is really nice, and you even get a burst heal in combat when you're fighting, which is valuable. So that's why it's more to the right. Now I know new items are going to come out for Season 4, we'll get to them when they come. This is just in general for now. Hopefully this is very helpful to you. I feel I dumbed it down quite nicely, just kind of explaining the value of defense and the better defensive items, and why hybridization is really good. A well balanced build goes a lot further than just pure DPS. So guys, also enjoy this. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time.